Hey, Diet Rebel Scum and Diet Rebel Scum Curious. Another long time no check-in. I'm just doing one on my phone because I cannot seem to get my ass to the computer kind of home studio in the evenings to. Well, I'm there, but I can't. I tried to make a video the other night. I did a live stream, and my internet connection was spotty, and I kept getting interrupted. So I didn't even bother. I deleted that one right away. So I actually tried to do a pre-marathon check-in. I'm gonna go in here and sit in the park here. So I'm at lunch, on my lunch break at work, going for a little walk, but I tried to do a pre-marathon. I just ran the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon that I've been training for the last 16 or so or more weeks. Actually, I've been training for it since last year's. And I actually did pretty good this time. So last year, at this same marathon, same course, I ran 4 hours and 21 seconds, I think was my time. So just a little over 4 hours. Now this time, for this training block, there was a few changes. Midway through, after like my first or second kind of long run over 10 miles, I think it was maybe after the 12-mile one, I can't remember. I need my training log. I need to be at my computers where I need to be doing this. But I decided after one of the first longer runs on the weekends that instead of doing the long runs, this is so against traditional marathon training. So I'm not advising anybody do this. I'm just telling you what I did. The long runs beat me up pretty bad for the last marathon, and I had trouble recovering from those, and it just seemed like the long runs were beating me up more than they were doing me any good. So I kind of decided for this marathon, midway through the 16-week training block, that I would up my weekly mileage by several miles. Instead of doing like 4 miles with my running buddies, I'd show up a little early and do a couple of miles, and then I would do a total of 6. And when they were doing, and my running buddies were training for half marathons, so their long runs weren't all that long. When their long run was 6 or 7 miles, I would go ahead and show up early and run more like 10. But what I kind of disposed of the all the long runs that were over like 12 or 13. So I didn't do one 16-mile run, 18 or 20-mile run for this last marathon. That was just last weekend. And but what I did do is I did my regular daily mileage was higher. So I think I had a couple of 50-mile weeks in there. One of them was like 51 miles. So I still did some longish runs on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, but they weren't as long. I kept them like pretty much half marathon or under was pretty much what I did. Now, funnily enough, that's what I used to do back in my faster days. I was pretty lazy about getting the long runs in, but I ran my daily mileage pretty damn fast. And I don't even think my daily mileage was all that high back then. Wished I had kept a great training log 15 years ago. But my memory is I still ran just a lot of 4 miles, but they were always at 7 flat pace, or maybe under. Some of them 7:30. Some of my longer runs might have been 7:30 pace, but anyway, that was my race pace. So I just ran my race pace every day for just staying in shape, and that was what I did for the marathon. But I always crumbled really bad. I would hit the wall and all that, but it wasn't until I went keto, and somewhere around, when was it, 2018 or 19 or something, when I ran my last decent marathon that I'm calling decent for me, was a 3:44. My goal was to beat 3:45, and I did. And I really didn't hit the wall. Now, that was on a strict keto diet. That was when I had been strict keto for about a year or two, maybe. I can't remember. I think the first thing I did was I ran a half marathon. That was my first race after I had gone keto. But anyway, so for this marathon, I'm beating around the bush a lot, just kind of giving you a history. But I just wanted to break 4 hours. It was going to be unknown because, like I say, I didn't do any long runs, not even one 20-miler. You're supposed to do like 3. And so no 18-miler, no 16-miler. I think the highest I did was like 13. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to look back. But I ran a 3 hour and 53 minutes and 57 seconds. Now, here's what's funny about that marathon. During that marathon, I hooked up with the 3 hour and 50-minute pace group at the beginning, before the start. You know, they have these pacers holding a flag with the sign on it what that pacer is supposed to finish the marathon in. And I hung with the 350 pacer for about the first 6 or 7 miles or so, something like that, maybe 8. And then I was feeling good enough that I got out ahead of them a little bit. So I kind of left the pacer and caught up with a running nemesis that I was hoping to be able to stay with. I thought she would beat me by like 20 minutes, but she wasn't feeling too good. I caught up with her at mile 9 and stayed with her till a little bit after the half. Now I came through the half marathon at 1:53, I believe was my time. 1:53 some seconds. So I was kind of blazing for my goal, you know. But here's what was great about it was I felt pretty good. Now usually I would be starting to kind of fade at the halfway mark, but not terrible. But at the halfway mark there, I was still holding, you know, I was still pulling down some 8:30 something pace miles and somewhere around there. And I wasn't feeling like I needed to slow down. Now that went on to mile 14 and into mile 15 and 16. I was still not feeling too bad. And I really traditionally, I should have started cratering by then and really starting to feel bad. But what was funny was I didn't really start feeling any kind of uncomfortable. So at that point, at mile like 15, I started thinking, I might actually come in under that 350 pacer may not catch me. I may not die off. I was actually feeling that good. I was like, if I don't get in any like real pain, I can probably hold this and run a 340 something, maybe a mid 340 something. And well, it wasn't in the cards, you know, but I actually had hopes and I was in a positive frame of mind there about that. But by mile, I didn't really start feeling bad until mile 21. That was, I think, my first mile. I have to look back, but I'm pretty sure my first mile above 9 minutes was mile 21. And so I started to hit the wall, but I didn't crash into that wall. Now this was a little different because, you know, I have been rather low carbish all this time. So, but here's what I did. There was another change from last year. During this marathon, I did not train with any carbs. Like I was not using gels or anything like that in any of my middle runs or whatever. I was just, you know, eating some salt, sea salt, and maybe what is it? Sea salt, potassium, some potassium citrate, and magnesium glycinate. I did have some of those. So anyway, that's what I would train with. But I didn't eat anything. I didn't eat gels or anything in any of my weekend long-ish runs for this training block. But the night before, the day before this marathon, I went ahead and bought 2 gels, and the product was E-gel and E for electrolyte. So this was a sugar gel that I've never used before, but I got it because mainly for the electrolyte part of it. So it's supposed to be heavy in the, you know, magnesium, and sodium and what have you, which is, I thought, would be my downfall, is to not get enough. And I used another product called Salt Sticks. So those are little chewable sodium, magnesium, and potassium tablets, you know, like Sweet Tarts, the candy, but they're little electrolyte chews. So I had plenty of those in my fanny pack with those 2 gels. So I did take those 2 gels, one around mile 6, I think, is when I ate the first one, and the other one at like maybe mile 14 or 15 when I was, somewhere through there. It was after the half. I went ahead and ate the second gel, and then no more sugary crap after that. I just mainly for the electrolytes. And I was holding in okay. So I'm pretty sure I benefited from the run slow to go fast thing, how I've been complaining about that not really working right. I think maybe it did. I think I was burning fat a little more efficiently for this marathon than I was last year, because I had slowed down and done a lot of my mileage a little easier. So I think I was recovering a little better in my, that's why I was able to up my mileage, my weekly mileage, running daily a couple more miles than I did last year. So it all worked out pretty good, and I ran a pretty decent marathon. So now, fast forward to today. I've decided I'm still recovering. I did run once, and that was a mistake. I was pretty dang sore. I got some people coming to come enjoy the park, and I don't want them to see me talking to myself, talking to my phone, you know, like I'm trying to be an influencer or something, like I'm a YouTuber, which I'm trying to be a YouTuber, but, you know, I don't want to look like I'm trying to be a YouTuber, if that makes any sense. So fast forward to now. I'm doing bulletproof coffee. You know, I told you I was doing eating teaspoons of sugar. I was actually putting real sugar instead of the 0-calorie sweeteners in my coffee in the morning, because I thought I don't want to be teasing my brain. If I'm squirting out some insulin to take care of sugar, I want the sugar to actually be there. So just a teaspoon here and there. And so I'm quitting that. I'm not going to do that anymore. And this marathon actually kind of gave me the courage to do that, because back when I ran my 345, my 340 or 344 something, I was strict keto then. I had 1 gel in that marathon, if I remember right, and it was given to me for free. It was just handed out on the course, and that's because I was starting to fatigue, but I was not hitting the wall. Like, my legs didn't turn to rocks during that marathon. That was a really good marathon for the amount of training. I didn't train all that well for that one. I was just really damn good at burning fat, because back when I first went keto, I was pretty damn strict. I mean, I lost 15 pounds and I was not even fat. I didn't think I had 15 pounds to lose, but boy, I kind of sailed through that marathon, and I had my crappy training that I used to do before I was keto, and still turned in a 344 something, and was able to walk. I even I hid my car key like under the tire. When I got to my car after that marathon, in previous years, back when I was all carb fueled, there's no way in hell I could have crouched down on the ground, got a car key out from under my car, and stood back up. I would have been stuck on the ground. I would have been locked up so bad. Well, that year I ran that 344, walked back to my car. Of course I was tired, but I squatted down and got my key and did a squat right back up. You know, I remember that very vividly. I'm like, this is a game changer. So I just had salt and 1 goo that was handed to me on the course that year. And I don't even think I needed that goo. I just took it as a placebo because I was getting fatigued, and I thought, okay, this is a distraction. Maybe it helped, I don't know. But I went ahead and did two gels for this one. But I tell you what, I was feeling so good that I think for this training block, I'm going to run another marathon in the fall. don't know exactly. I think maybe Route 66 in Tulsa here in the state of Oklahoma. I've never run that one, but that's a one popular one here in Oklahoma. So that's in November. Or I might run the Fort Worth Marathon again that's also in November. I may run that one instead. But here's what I'm doing. I'm going to go back to bulletproof coffee like I did back when I first went keto. Bulletproof coffee. So my coffee today has 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream, and about a tablespoon of coconut oil. That's all whipped in there with a little electric whisk thing. I think I'm going to turn around and go back this other way. So, and what that's done, and with no artificial or 0 calorie sweeteners. And you know what? That's what I've started today with. And it's awesome because just like when I first went keto, I'm not hungry at all. I have my lunch cooking, which is not the whole pound of beef. I'm doing a lighter lunch today. I'm just doing 6 eggs that are in some butter and water in a crock pot with a bunch of sea salt. That's going to be my lunch because I'm not really that hungry. I'm not hungry at all actually right now. This is my lunchtime. I normally, if I had had a teaspoon of sugar in my coffee or 2 this morning, I would be pretty damn hungry right now. And because I've just had pure fat, no protein, no carbs today so far, I'm not hungry at all. I forgot how great this felt, being like really in the high fat style of things, and I'm not knocking carnivore at all, and because I'm actually, when I say I'm going to be more keto on this one, which I'm talking about the keto macros, I'm not talking about eating vegetables again. I'm not going to be eating leafy green salads like I did when I first went keto. I'm going to be pretty much a carnivore keto. I'm just going to pay attention to making sure I'm just going to lighten up on the beef a bit and make sure I get a few more double-digit more grams of fat in a day, and train really hard like I did up in my weekly mileage. I may, if I feel good enough, I may do some long runs on this training block for an upcoming fall marathon. But if I don't want to, I won't. So I'm really looking forward to this one. So I had a successful marathon. Oh, and it was rather warm this past weekend too. A lot of people were really complaining about the heat. I didn't suffer from the heat too bad at all. It was actually pretty good. I was cramping at the end, so I guess the heat did. I was pretty dehydrated, I'm pretty sure, by the end. Because I was crumbling, but not near as bad as I have in other marathons. I hope this wind noise isn't too bad, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off now. I've been talking for 18 minutes and 36 seconds, but okay. Diet Rebel Scum and Diet Rebel Scum Curious. Rebellion. Oh, I forgot. We rebel against the food pyramid, the government food pyramid, even though in the United States, the government food pyramid did improve, but still, I'm still in rebellion of that one. But it was a step in the right direction, like I've said before. So I'm still say I'm a Diet Rebel Scum, still rebelling. Okay, that's about it. But cheers, and let's make this another low carb day.